the stock market is rigged? I know you've described it in the past as unfair, but there's a difference between unfair and rigged.
Yeah, I think I probably would not be quite as hyperbolic as that, but we have started actually over a year ago looking at the use of information that didn't fit into traditional categories of insider trading, but because of the presence of these algorithmic high-frequency computers, they could use information that before was really useless. And we obtained a settlement with Thomson Reuters was the best example, because we learned that in addition to releasing this information to their customers at a particular time, they gave a 2-second edge to a select group of higher-paying customers, which would have been irrelevant 10 or 15 years ago. But in the universe of high-frequency trading and multiple exchanges that are interlinked becomes a problem. They, to their credit, agreed to stop giving the 2-second edge. But we're looking at whether there is any other illegality. High-frequency trading of securities, good, produces liquidity. Front-running the market, bad.
Do you believe that there is illegality?
That's why we're conducting an investigation. We're looking into that.
Well, then, is the one at fault really the regulators, the SEC? Because the SEC has conducted a number of studies over the last few years and haven't concluded that there's any wrongdoing here. So couldn't this be a case of hate the game, not the player?
No, I think that the game has gotten very complicated. The SEC is looking at this, and I've been in touch with the SEC. Commissioner spoke up last week, I think fairly forcefully about it. They need to make moves in the change the regulatory structure. But look, we now have a situation with more than 60 private and public exchanges that are interlinked, and there are cracks in that system. And the high-frequency traders in this race for speed try to use the milliseconds of advantage they have over other traders to front-run markets and to take advantage of the cracks in the system. The SEC's got to look at some re-regulation, in my view. But I think there are other things that can be done in the meantime. The idea of putting some speed bumps in, and there are a variety of ways to do this, just to slow the process down or to take away the arms race, the need to take chances for ever greater speed, which also could have a destabilizing.
But it was the SEC that created Reg NMS, so they created this system that has the cracks in it. When I look back and I look at the way specialists operated, they had way more control. They knew so much information and could control bid-ask. I mean, now it almost seems like it's more fair than it was 15 years ago.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I do think that it's important to distinguish between high-frequency trading, which is a good thing. Extra liquidity compresses the bid-ask range, and the fact that there are those folks who are trying to take advantage of things to front-run the system. If you can get information, and Michael Lewis talks about this, that someone's dumping a lot of, I think he used Microsoft as an example, and you have the ability to know that just a few seconds before people can execute the trades, not even seconds, milliseconds. The other piece of this that we have to look at is the race for speed is inherently dangerous, because that leads people to take more and more chances to try and get an advantage, and that could lead to destabilization of the markets.
Is it, though, Mr. Attorney General, you describe it as an arms race, is it by definition dangerous? And I ask this question only because in just about every other industry in America, we celebrate technological advance. We celebrate the use of technology to solve problems, to build better mousetraps, except, it would seem, in the equity capital market. Lewis himself says that from his perspective, now he's not an attorney general of the great state of New York, but he says from what he can tell it's legal.
Well, I think he's probably referring to federal law. We have a different securities law here. We're looking at it. We're not prejudging the situation, but I think your point on regulation is a little bit off, and we tend in New York to be a little bit market-centric and finance-centric. We celebrate technology, but we have speed limits and airbags. I mean, we celebrate technology, but we have systems so that you can cancel your credit card if it's stolen. So there are ways to have checks and balances, and what is being proposed is in the way of speed bumps, and this is something, a new conversation. I support this idea of frequent batch auctions. So you would have all the trades that are up for 1 second or 1/2 second, and then it's allocated by price, not who got in a few milliseconds before the other at a lower price. That's one way to do it. There's another way with this new exchange that was featured in the 60 Minutes program, IEX. They have their own way of putting in a speed bump. This is a conversation that's just beginning, but I think it's very important both to prevent front running and to ensure that the markets are safe. Look, the problem here is, and I'm a fan of the markets, but I think Michael is right. We've lost a lot of credibility. A lot of investors do not have confidence in the markets, and it's up to those of us who believe in them, who enforce the law and regulate them, to restore that confidence.
Have the regulators lost a lot of credibility? The regulators might have egg on their face right now. I mean, you really are speaking about this with great expertise. Should you be the person stepping in here? Are you making the regulators look like a fool? Is Michael Lewis making them look like a fool?
No, I don't. I hope not. That's certainly not our intention. These are changes in the structure. I have been in touch with the SEC. They're taking a hard look at it. And there are other regulators out there. But let's keep in mind that there is a lot that can be done by exchanges themselves that should be done. I mean, we're looking at issues of co-location and whether exchanges, for example, are selling at a high price extra bandwidth, high-speed switches that create just a little tiny bit of an extra advantage for some traders. This is an area that we have to all look at. Exchanges bear some responsibility. The firms that are using these computers bear responsibility. I'm going to see if anything illegal is being done under New York securities laws, and I'm sure my federal counterparts will be engaged as well.